And maybe someone can say, I am free from choice. Let go of all that, the status. I'm nobody. I walk away, nobody recognizes me. I want to go to a country where no one knows me. So this is how I crucify the status. Then I put my ear on the ground, trying to hear something coming from torture, interrogation, any questions. Who's your God? You know, the man screaming. I'm not talking about like becoming just totally stupid, you know, going like, oh, I love everybody, I hug everybody in the streets. You know, it's not. It's truly like our love for ourselves. Do we get aligned with a universal truth, or do we choose a convenient truth that pays, that gives us security, that gives us protection?
Hello, brother.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for your time. Thank you for
your interest.
So, Mosab, I'll ask you about what is the purpose for you? Do you trust in this?
You know, for many years I thought I had a purpose. You know, I had goals, and I achieved some. Some I wasn't able to achieve. And today, if you ask me what's my purpose, I tell you there is no purpose. It's really better to live without a purpose. Of course, we always aspire, you know, to create change in ourselves and create change in society, but we cannot always succeed in our goals. So if there is a dream, you know, that could be a purpose. Maybe there is no dream at all. And also, I have exceeded many of my dreams in the real life. And when you arrive at the manifestation of a certain dream or a purpose, you know, or a goal, you start to realize, you know, that it's lots of work, and you might not find what you expected from the beginning. So as of now, I don't have like big goals or a purpose or a goal in life. I just go with the flow. I be spontaneous. I sometimes just focusing on the day, you know. And sometimes my friend asks me, "What's the plan for today?" You know, and I can answer. But if he asks me, "What's the plan for tomorrow?" I don't have answer. So it's very hard for me to tell me, like, "What's your purpose?" I had a purpose. Today there is no purpose. Maybe tomorrow there will be. It really doesn't matter. Well, I have experienced a lot. You know, I was born as a Muslim, then like in a very complicated Islamic class, which affiliated with rigid Islamic dogma. So this is the birthplace. I inherited religion, ideology from parents, and they had a purpose for me. You know, they wanted me to become somebody in Islam, and I choose different choice. I make my own path, but because I choose a different path for my life, I lose security and comfort of my parents and their society. Also, unfortunately, when you say no to the conditioning of your parents or society, also there are consequences. So the journey is not actually within a certain society, it's also the journey out, how you get out. You know, because getting out, imagine so many guards with guns and so many soldiers and so many barriers and so many walls of isolation and so many traps. All that, you know, I had to face throughout the journey. So it's not easy. You know, many people assume that you get out of a culture is easy. You just buy an airplane ticket and fly over political borders and you are in a new place. It's not as easy as that. In order for you to transcend, your mental and spiritual barriers, cultural barriers, and most importantly, to transcend your conditioning, this is the journey. From there, I moved to the United States, and I had encounter with Christianity, which it's like I personally fascinated by the persona of Yeshua, or in America they call him Jesus. So how one person was able to confront the religious authorities and rebel against conditioning and against traditional, and express his freedom, which basically he paid price by blood, but no fear. So that helped me actually to, I use him as a role model for my life to actually find my freedom, even if people will crucify me, it's okay. But this fascination of Yeshua led me to Christianity. And I became friends with many Christian people. I myself don't practice Christianity as a religion, but this gave me the opportunity to actually see from first-hand experience what Christianity is all about, and many denominations of the Christian realm, and what they stand for, and the lifestyle that they have. So this became like another trip, you can say. So there is like a trip in Islam from the age of 0 to 25. Then there is like a journey in Christianity, even though like not church going, but like very close. Then there is experience with people and a nation I love very much, which is the Jewish people. My parents disagree. My nation disagree. They consider the Jewish people, and they consider especially the Israeli people as enemy. And I choose completely the opposite, and I say they are not my enemy, they are my friends. And this has been a fascinating journey for me, because when you get to the other side where everybody tell you they are bad, they are killers, they're killing us, they want to drink our children's blood, This is what people in hatred teach you as a child, and whoa, the Jews want to drink my blood, So as a child, immediately you start hating them, But to know the truth, you have to go and experience for yourself, see with your own eyes what they do. And this has been my journey. And I met most amazing people in the world, most creative people that contributed to humanity in every field of existence. So this is like another journey with Judaism, Then from there I moved to Asia, which basically gave me an experiment with a little bit of Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism. When I say all that, I don't mean like practicing as a religion, but I studied scripture. I met with unknown masters in that field, and gave me access to this culture. So as you see, there are so many cultural barriers that I have traveled through that brought me to this place today.
Yes.
And it's really, I cannot encapsulate all of it just in one sentence.
I'm really interested to ask about your childhood. How was it?
So childhood, my childhood was very rough. There was lots of violence, and it's a violent culture in principle. Middle Easterns don't actually, they're not careful how they interact with children in principle. Not everybody, But the majority, it's okay, to beat up a child. It's okay to maybe intimidate a child, threaten a child. And in many cases, unfortunately, with the Middle Eastern culture, sexual repression and the collective consciousness, at least the announced, is against sexuality. So there is repression. And repression always creates disease, And the numbers of rape issues against children is unbelievable. You can ask CIA, they have very good statistics about this. And this could be actually the biggest problem that the Middle East is facing, which is rape. So it's, there are stories that we know about, there are stories we don't know about. But truly, for a child growing up, in the Middle East in general, is very, very difficult environment. That's number one. Number two, in our environment, it was war, which is Palestine, Israel. So people are fighting and killing each other on a daily basis. You see bloodshed everywhere. So all this is observed through the lens of a child who doesn't know a higher truth, and it doesn't have the power of discernment, to know a higher truth of who's right, who's wrong, or how actually the suffering originates. Taking all this in consideration, you have destroyed a child. This is how you destroy a child. And you take intelligence and you just give them stupid beliefs and education, conditioning. So against all the odds, I would say I survived. Because all these obstacles put you in a grave immediately, or put you in a small box, or blind your view of life. And for any individual to break through such obstacles is a miracle. It's a miracle.
What's happened? Why you decided not to go this way?
It's not.
I think I know. I understand it's about the points of transformation in your life.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm very interested in this.
Yeah.
What's happened?
It's a chain of events. Chain of events, and each event, each phenomena is directing you to a certain way to see a higher truth. It's a choice. Do we get aligned with a universal truth, or do we choose a convenient truth that pays, that gives us security, that gives us protection, that is known to us? Local truth, man-made truth, a belief system, a system. Or, it's like we see the absurdity of all systems and their limitation. Some people still believe that Santa is going to come and bring them all the gifts, so they are waiting. And some people realize that we have to do the work. Somebody in the desert sitting and saying CH2, CH2, CH2 for 100 years. Water is not coming. And someone simply start digging for water, But also when the person find the water, the other person come and say, because I have been saying CH2, water come, So many people wait and pray, and I'm not this type of person. And I like to experience and to see firsthand, direct perception. Otherwise, it does not exist for me. So this is like a part of my nature, A story from my childhood, for example, the imam, which is the religious man, at funeral, they just put dead body, a corpse, inside the ground, and he say, after everybody leave, 2 angels will come back and bring his soul back to his body and interrogate him. And they ask him, who's your God? If he doesn't know the name of his God, they torture him. And he said, all type of monsters are going to come in his reality And it was so fearful. I was so scared. 10-year-old only. In fact, even 50-year-old were like, holy shit. All this happened inside the grave after we leave. So I go home and I sit home and I could not help it. I wanted to go back and hear torture. But so scary, because now I believe the religious man, what he said. And I asked all my friends to come with me, but none of them would come with me. So I only go by myself. And as I come closer to the grave, creepy place. I am afraid now I hear a man scream of pain, but no voice, nobody saying nothing. And I get closer and closer. There was no voice, it was peaceful. It was very silent, actually. Then I put my ear on the ground, trying to hear something coming from torture, interrogation, any questions, who's your God, the man screaming. There was nothing. So if I look back at the child within, from 10-year-old, I did not believe the theory of the mullah. And I investigated for myself. Eventually, the graveyard became my playground because we did not have playgrounds. And this is where actually I explored and I came face to face with death, to accept the truth and the reality of death. From that point on until now, death is not my enemy. It's my friend. The dark night of the soul,
Yes.
and every human being goes through that, where it just gets dark and there is no resolution, there is no way out of whatever hole we've been digging for ourselves. So first of all, the good news, everybody can get out of a situation, and all of us can create change. If you look at my life, I have created change. I have recreated, reinvented myself again and again and again, to the degree that I got tired of it. So I don't, not to mention for someone to just recreate, reinvent a situation, So practically, for those people who live in darkness today, there is a way out, but no one else is going to come from outside to help. Okay. By the way, the help from outside is just a guide. People come from the outside to give us a hand, to show us a way, and they disappear. And all we have to do, use our intelligence and do the effort, the right effort. Because even if you meet the greatest masters of the universe, let's say it's like it happened that I'm a man of a great wisdom, I cannot guarantee that I can help your people. And nobody, those who claim that they can help others, they are liars. First of all, I help myself. When airplane is crashing, they say, you help yourself first, put the oxygen mask, then you can help the others. And this is the reality of life. We are all on an airplane and we are crashing. First, we need to help ourselves, put the oxygen mask. Then after that, we can help others. So for those people, I helped myself, and I freed myself from lots of bullshit, lots of beliefs and lots of patterns, things that I created for myself, things that were enforced by others. In order for us to really emancipate ourselves, we need to do the work. No one else will come do it. So even if it happened that you met a Buddha in your life, or a Christ, or the greatest guru, they can show you the way. They cannot do the work on your behalf. You still need to do the work on your behalf. Simple things. Correct your food. Breathe. Sleep well. Stay away from intoxicants. Set straight your intention. Simple things. When you wake up in the morning, you're not trying to dominate the universe, because there is no way to dominate the universe. Okay? Because it's a responsibility. Everything that I have in position right now is responsibility. So if we understand that all objects, all relationships that we have in this universe are responsibility, then maybe instead of having 1,000 items on our list, we can reduce it to maybe 100. Maybe we can reduce it to 50 or even to 5, and focus on those. Why we depressed? Because we are trying to do all the things of the universe, and we fail to do them. So if there is, I don't call it advice. It's actually, I don't see a way around it. We need to concentrate. So we reduce, and we reduce our list. We breathe throughout the process, and we take care of the body that we are living in. Doesn't matter, you're Christian, you're Muslim, you're Jewish. Your nerve system doesn't know this shit. So if you are taking stuff that is going to irritate your nerve system, your Judaism or your Christianity or Islam is not going to save your ass in that situation. So to know our body, to know ourselves, that was the greatest advice of the greatest philosophers. Socrates, for example. Know thyself. Okay? Know the vehicle that we are living, this body, and through food, through breathing, through intention, through harmony, through love, compassion, forgiveness. I'm not talking about like becoming just totally stupid, going like, oh, I love everybody, I hug everybody in the streets. It's not. It's truly like our love for ourselves, our love for life, and the power of discernment also. When to love and when to withdraw from any action. So these are the things. I mean, like I can go on and on and on, but also I don't want to make it into a religion, for someone. But yeah, it was really a scary place because I didn't know what to do. And the traumas of my past, and losing my family, and the cultural shock, and being alone, were things that I had to deal with. And when you are alone and when you are on your own, it's hard, but your chances of making it out also are good, because sometimes when you have people around, they will mislead you, they will drug you with their ideas, with their thought, with pitying you, with crying a little bit with you, and emotionally identifying with your struggle. So you think, that people really care. So this just gives you a little bit of gas to press on. But being alone in the mess, it's for you, it is death, and you have to face it again and again until you find your way out. And to learn basically how to crucify the status, which is basically the ego. So if you have accomplished something, you created a status for yourself, you became a celebrity or a rich person or a doctor or a lawyer or a respectable person in the society. It's all images, that we create. We did something, it left an impression on the society, and the society perceives us as the status right now. Very important for anyone who is stuck in a situation, whether if they were the president, the doctor, the lawyer, or the nobody, the one that no one knows about, to let go of status, of ego, of what we think we are, to let die, even temporarily. And if we are able to die to that persona, even for a short period of time, we already start exploring outside that barrier. In my case, it was success and failure. I made name, I made success, I sold lots of books, I was in Hollywood, red carpet parties and celebrities and Hollywood Hills, all it had to offer. But then I came to realize that I was empty. But Hollywood was giving me recognition, power, money, prestige, all that. But I knew I was empty, and I knew I was dying. So I had to let go of all my toys. Fast cars, motorcycles, luxury, money, opportunity, I had to cancel all contracts I had with the industry and walk away. Go somewhere else, somewhere new. No email, no Facebook, nothing for a long period of time. And the moment I let go, I said goodbye to my friends, and we were crying over the phone. They could not believe it, that I was just, that's it. Given up. Life. Even they used to say, you have a beautiful life. Where the fuck do you want to go? And I was like, but this is not for me. I want to go somewhere else. I don't know. I just want to walk away. And I walk away. Then things start happening. When I did not have my securities, when I had the Porsche, the Ducati, living in Hollywood Tower, and all the money and all the women and all the distraction and all that, it was all dear to me. I love this car very much. I love this motorbike very much, and the other motorbike next to it, and the other next to it, and madness. Madness is why I was suffering, suffocating all these positions. Let go of all that, the status. I'm nobody. I walk away, nobody recognizes me. I want to go to a country where no one knows me. So this is how I crucify the status. So I move on. Then I found the simple things in life. Simple things. Simple people. Unknown people. They weren't celebrities. They weren't famous politicians. They weren't very wealthy people. They were very simple people who actually, with their compassion and love and not concerned of my past and what I had accomplished, they saw a broken man who's really looking for a way out, and they had compassion towards it. And with just small adjustments to just put me on the path, to help me emancipate myself. But I still needed to do the work.
And why the Hollywood people were so interested in your stories? Because the book before?
Hollywood was interested because they saw, first of all, my story and my past, career past as an espionage. So there is like thrill to it.
Yeah.
The world of deception, espionage, creating alternative realities to societies and manipulating the average mind to pass policies, politics, and all that. So that was 10 years of my life also. So for Hollywood, they're looking for a thriller, and this is why they were interested, and this is why they offered, or actually they paid lots of money because of this. But they want to take my universal being and reduce it to a product. And this is where I had a problem with them, that I cannot be reduced to a movie, to a book, to 10 books. This is just things I did, things I am doing. And all the status that is going to come from that, it's not going to give me satisfaction. It's not going to give me contentment. It's not going to give me equilibrium. And those are things that I only can get myself through my own practice. So, and this is how, just we keep breaking through little by little, That was the foundation for what to come after. And it was much greater than all the things that I have experienced before. And when I go back to Hollywood, there was all type of surprises, all type of offers, all type of, and totally different people, that I thought I made it to Hollywood before, but I only made it to Los Angeles, But after I announced renunciation, you can say, of all the things that I thought were valuable to me, this is when actually I met the most powerful people in Hollywood industry, the ones who actually can make things happen, the ones who actually made my movie happen with the right intention, with the right vision. And we became friends, and I met their families, and it became an eternal bond. Even though I'm far away from Hollywood right now, it's like home for me. So this is just another example of how to let go, of what we want, how we are going to dominate. Some people go to Hollywood, I want to dominate Hollywood, or go to a certain religion, I want to become the guru, or I want to become the president, I want to become the doctor because the doctor gets paid well, or the attorney. It's a trap. I'm not saying not to be all that, but without attachment. To be all that without looking for fruits, the outcome. Let it just come on its own terms. If you do the right work, it's going to be the right outcome, but you don't force it, because I personally tend to take the fruit before it's ripe. Mm-hmm. And then, it's not good. Well, because you did not wait. I did not wait.
What helped you? I know you practice Mysore yoga, Ashtanga yoga, and practice very serious. Yeah? Every day it's like discipline and concentration, and I know you like free diving to connect with the ocean. This is your keys of your happiness now, your practice and this way of life.
First of all, if it depends on our approach to any practice, whether it was yoga, qigong, or kung fu, whatever it is, we need to approach it with the right approach, and it takes a long time to actually learn. It cannot happen just when we are lazy and we are not doing it. This is why, my teacher in the Ashtanga practice, which is a very, very powerful practice, and with all the knowledge that I thought I had from my journey in a human society, I actually come to realize how small, I am. But with limitless potential, of course. So it took many years, to realize that this is not just a workout, and it's not just to be fit or to have like the status of like, hey, Om Shanti, I'm a guru, or I'm a yoga teacher, or I'm spiritual, as much as, my understanding that no one will come and clean my house on my behalf. So it's my body. I need to clean it every day, maintain it, adjust the misalignment in it. If we go into activity, into creativity, we create intention, So when we create the tension, we rest at night. We might sleep, we might bend the body in a way, bend the nerve. And so we need to come, ourselves, me and you, every individual, our responsibility, and to purify the body we live in. If we don't purify the body, no one will come from outside and do it on our behalf. The same way we clean our car, we clean our house, we take a shower. Usually we take a shower from the outside to just like, not smell bad. But our purification is internal work. It's related to our intention. It's related to our blood quality, toxics in the system, balances, alkaline acid balance, how much water we have, how much fat we have, our ability to produce chemical in the body and manipulate body's chemical production. Then this is our intelligence. And this is not going to happen just because, somebody went to a yoga class or to a kung fu class. This is a long journey, to develop, to understand our system, to purify our system. Very important to live in a pure body, Of course, every now and then, I go on eating too much. Well, I eat too much. And right now, I'm not feeling good. And I can go and blame the president, because I'm not feeling good. and we just can't go on. So the practice and the real practice is to just stay pure. And you look at the trees, you don't see like you see healthy trees. Okay, if it had like the right nutrition, and it just grows. You look at the animals, unless they live with us, we can make them sick. But if they are out in nature, they are very healthy and they are very happy. So it's basically, I just try not to be too much in the human society and be out in nature as much as I can. Freediving, this is a new thing. So it takes, it's gonna take a long time, for me to be able to actually figure it out. But there is something about like the depth of the ocean and going under the water and exploring, how magnificent. And to actually regulate our breathing, because this is like another important pranayama. It's all about regulating our breathing. The more we regulate our breathing, the more we are able to access mind and master mind. So now as I speak, it's at the expense of my breathing, but it's okay. Afterwards, I will find time to breathe. Before I found time to breathe. So as we go into our creative process, we need to find time to breathe. If we are not breathing, we are sad people. We don't have energy. The more we breathe, the more energy we have. So those are the simple things that can save us. It's not the theories and the sophisticated dogmas of truth. Always speak of truth as an object, and the truth is not an object. It could be all objects combined and objects to become. So with that said, it's experiential. As we experience truth in this sensual experience, then we need to understand our senses and how to perceive truth, how to perceive the material, what is hot and what is cold, and how to actually be content with the choices that we are making in life. So call it yoga, call it something else, call it Ashtanga. Of course, Ashtanga yoga brought me, to realize and to understand things in a way I did not expect. I came to Ashtanga, I wanted to be fit. I wanted to have a beautiful body. That was my goal. But eventually, you come to realize it's beyond all the physical realm. So, with that said, thanks, to my teacher and his teacher and all the great teachers that actually put us on the path. But, if I tell you now Ashtanga Yoga, can this guarantee for every individual in the universe to emancipate themselves? Absolutely not. I can be in the room, with 50 other people and doing the same exact pattern, same exact sequence, but 50 people experiencing 50 different things.
The truth, it's about the freedom.
Practically, freedom is a broad term, and many people use freedom. Everybody can claim that they are free, but they are conceptions. Maybe somebody, because they can make 2 choices, they think they are free. Maybe someone, because they can make 5 choices, they think they are free. And there are people with lots of money that they can make 1,000,000 choices at once, simultaneously. They think they are freer. And maybe someone can say, I am free from choice, period. I don't have to make 1, I don't have to make 5, I don't have to make 1,000,000. I don't have to make choice at all. I'm free from choice. Then someone might come and say, I have the free will. Then other person would tell them, I am free from will. I have the freedom to believe. Someone say, I have the freedom to disbelieve. And other laugh at them both and say, I have the freedom not to think at all. Not to believe, not to disbelieve. And above all, someone say, I am free from freedom.
And from purpose and from mission, from God and from love.
From freedom.
From earth. Okay. Oh, thank you. So, do you have some your favorite movies?
Well, I think movies is just, just a trip. I go on a trip and I totally forget about them. Whatever I learn, I learn. If there was something to learn, sometimes I cry, sometimes I laugh. Sometimes I cannot go through more than 5 minutes into the movie, but I don't have recommendations for anybody. At the end of the day, we will project whatever we want into any reality. I project on you, my truth. I project on the movie, the events of life. This is life, and I cannot. That's like the thing that I avoid to tell people: read this book, watch this movie, this documentary. Oh my God, it's like that kind of stuff. Especially for those who don't know how to, they don't know their individuality. Like yesterday, I was telling my friend, we have to watch this documentary. It's amazing, But he knows his individuality, But I cannot recommend it to public, and they think if they watch this material, or if they read this book, or if I give them the 10 golden steps to heaven or to paradise, they are going to be free eventually. This is what all the religions and all the gurus and the masters have been doing. I am no guru, I'm no master, I'm no religious, I'm just me. And I don't want them to follow me, I want them just to be themselves. Whatever choice that they make, just that we know that we are the legitimate creators of our own reality. The world that we know we have created in all its relationships and all the outcome that is coming towards us. When we see it and don't recognize it and we don't want to take responsibility for it, we just suffer more because it will keep coming back. But the moment we say, yes, this is my child, if you have a child, this is my family, this is my world, and I accept it, and if I have to emancipate myself from it, I emancipate myself from it.
Thank you so much, Mosab.
Okay, brother. Thank you very much. Thank you.